Isn't it? Okay, it's 5 o'clock, so let us begin this work session. August 27th, 2025, TCD District Board of Supervisors. Welcome, everyone. We have 4 or 5 supervisors here. David is not here yet. Haven't heard that he won't be joining us, so hopefully we'll see him shortly. First thing up here is to take a look at our topic list. Are there any changes to the list we have here before us? Any? Nope. Anything?
I'd like to add something, regarding like data security. We could
Let's do
talk
that.
about policy.
Let's put that after item 7.
Okay,
Data security.
thank you.
You bet. Okay, anything else? All right, we'll go with that then, with that addition, which means we'll leap into content here. First up tonight, my favorite topic, soil. So Ken is here with us to talk about the soil program.
Yeah, let me get my presentation.
So we'll give you roughly, hopefully we'll keep it to about 15 minutes. We'll let you talk and then we'll ask questions and see if we can do all that in about 15 minutes.
Wonderful. And I know that is going to be hard because there's going to be so many things that we want to talk about soil health. So. There we go, that's better. All right, so today I'm just going to give you some updates on the soil testing program. We're going to talk about what the soil program has been up to in the past year, and then we're also going to talk a lot about where I would like to take it in the future and where the board envisions the direction of the soil program. So there's so much great things to talk about. So we'll get what we can done in 10 and 15 minutes, but I would love to continue this conversation afterwards. And so we will have plenty of opportunities to discuss. So I just started off with a chart to show our number of soil and nutrient tests. You can see that 2025 is still in progress. That bar is still rising. But you can also see that we have had a steady increase in the number of producers that are getting soil tests every year, soil and nutrient tests. And so that is really exciting. That is showing that not only is our outreach working, but more and more people are also return customers. I also have this handy dandy little pie chart that is showing you what this 2025 soil and nutrient testing program looks like so far. So our biggest slice is vegetables. That makes up the majority of the crop types that I'm testing. We also then next up have pasture and hay and cut flowers. Those are about equal slices of the pie. And then that other 25% is made up of lawns, nutrient testing if they want to get forage testing or plant tissue testing. And then other falls into if people are doing something like a post-construction test for the county, and that is just kind of a pass-through for us. So I also wanted to touch a little bit on community engagement because I think that that is a really important aspect of this program. Not only am I able to provide soil reports and recommendations, I'm also starting a dialogue with the producers and getting questions answered that might spark them to be interested in other best management practices. So I pulled some little excerpts from conversations I've had and emails that I've received. Just some examples of what I see on a weekly, monthly basis. Someone's asking, do you have a cover crop that you would recommend for our soil and our planned garlic farm? So opening that narrative. Somebody's saying, we're hoping to sow a cover crop this spring in our field. We submitted samples a couple of years ago, which is great, they're returning customers, about what our options were for amending and revitalizing our soil. After receiving that support, we applied amendments, we sowed a cover crop, and now our goal is that we want our soil to be less acidic for flowers. When should we test our soil this year? Just a great example of opening that conversation, and also great to see that people are asking more in-depth questions. And then another example is somebody saying, my soil is about 80% sand, 14% silt, 7% clay. My pH is 6.7. This kind of sounds like it's a math problem. How much drop in a pH would you expect each year with our average rainfall? How much lime should be added yearly or bi-yearly to maintain the pH in the acceptable range for the crops that they were growing? So this is just a great example of some of that dialogue that the soil reports, beyond our recommendations, are really causing people to think more in depth about their soil and the amendments they want to make. So just when I think of the big picture for the soil program, I really see it as being something that supports not only egg viability, but also water quality and other conservation needs. So specifically, the egg viability aspect that is so important is we are helping the farmers optimize their nutrient management because they are not guessing at what's in their soil, so they can apply more precise and accurate amendments. We're improving their production and their crop health because they actually are aware of what their soil is deficient in. It's not a mystery. Data-driven decisions are always really great for their overall like farm profitability. And one thing that I really love, that I just touched on, is we are sparking interest in other best management practices. And this soil program is an awesome touch point for producers who already are interested in soil health. They're interested in reaching out to the district. So maybe they really would love to know more about other BMPs, and this is a great way to get that going. And then also the water quality aspect is so important because we are going to be reducing those excess nutrients that could be running off into their aquifers, their wetlands, and their surface waters. So those are kind of two big picture things that I like to keep in mind. And let's see if we'll go to the next page. There we go. So this is just something where I like to look at studies. So there was a study that is why soil testing is not enough. It is a mixed method study of farming and nutrient management published in the Journal of Environmental Management. I reviewed that. I pulled out some quotes that I thought were really great. So one thing that I saw is that nutrient decisions are widely influenced by social and community factors. So what is driving people to get soil testing and what is driving how they're applying their amendments and what tools they're using? A lot of that is really driven by the community and what others around them are doing. A great stat was 98% of farmers tested their soil in the last 5 years, but admitted that they could not read the results when they received them. This is why our soil program is such an amazing service for the community, because it does take a lot to figure out what those mean and how to apply it, and we are reducing that barrier for our producers. Younger farmers, 21 through 39, tend to be more educated, and therefore they might be less satisfied with the current nutrient management on their farm. Maybe they know that there's better methods, but they don't know how to apply them or what tools to use. So increasing that intergenerational trust around nutrient management is a great human factor to consider in this program. And in terms of water quality issues, the accessibility of research and findings may be limited to farmers, where they can actually get that information on how their nutrients on their farm can directly impact the waterways around them. So that's just kind of an education for it. And I just thought that this was an interesting to consider the human and behavioral factors of this program. Hello, next one. There we go. Measuring soil health. Right now, we are measuring the nutrients like the nitrogen, the phosphorus, the potassium, but I think it is also really important to prioritize soil health because we're getting a great understanding of the soil fertility, but what can we do to help get a better picture of their soil health? And while it may correlate, it's not always an exact match. If you have high nutrients, that doesn't mean your soil is super healthy. So I looked into options and what the USDA is using, what Midwest Labs is offering. And one of those things is a CO2C soil respiration test that is testing for microbial activity. more microbial activity is going to be correlating with healthier soils with all that good stuff going on. They also are offering the Haney soil test, a very well-known soil health nutrient tool that also tests microbial activity and nutrient availability. So that is great to look at, as well as bulk density. And so I looked into the prices. You are going to be running about $55 to $65 for a test package. So you will get your regular package of soil nutrients, the NPK and all of that. You will then get also the CO2C, yeah. And then the Haney soil test as a package. And so I would like to start encouraging landowners to try that and see how they feel about it and see what the results look like. And so that would be a great step to move into. And when our soil tests are normally 25 for a basic and 48 for a comprehensive, I feel like this price shouldn't be too much of a barrier for those that are interested. In general, when I think of promoting soil health best management practices, yeah, I have the big picture here. How can we create more resilient and biodiverse soil ecosystem? This is how we can help protect that agricultural viability. That's how we can protect and do conservation on the farm. And so obviously a lot of those best management practices that we already encourage fall under these categories of soil health. Minimizing soil disturbance is an example. Reduced tilling has a lot of benefits to your soil health. Another example is maintaining living roots, keeping your soil covered. That's a great time to recommend soil or cover crops, which is another thing that we recommend to our farmers. So yeah, it's just a great idea to see how all of those NRCS best management practices then sort themselves under those principles for soil health really well. And we can talk about more of that if needed. So opportunities for growth. This is me thinking about where are we taking the program and thinking of some ideas on how we could continue to improve it and provide more value to our landowners. One great option is partnering with WSDA and ADAM to utilize new programs and tools. They are developing some really awesome stuff for soil health right now that is currently in the beta testing stage. But as they roll that out, it's going to be really great to see how that works. And they are also doing a lot with really cool and catchy visuals and charts and some great ways to just educate the public about soil health 101. Increasing landowner outreach, of course, is a big goal. That is going to be workshops and also just showing up at events and having a booth and engaging folks to talk about soil health. Taking it in a direction where we're really putting emphasis on soil health and regenerative agriculture. I think that is very important to keep in mind and not have it just be, here's your soil results, here's how much fertilizer, end of conversation. I think we need to think of the big picture, and the landowners also thinking of the big picture and how they can use this data. I also am going to continue pursuing cost share and grant opportunities that will support our soil program and help it grow. Or maybe we can even offer free or reduced cost soil tests to landowners that will make it even more increase the incentive to soil test for folks that maybe never have before. I get a lot of questions about having hay sampling equipment for rental. So something that they can use to take a core of their hay. And then, yeah, looking forward, we want to gather appropriate data where making sure that we're getting the data we need to steer the direction of the program and see what our problem areas are and see if there's anything that we need to maybe target one area more than others. I will just give I could talk forever, but I'll give a quick little wrap up. The general trends this past year, I haven't seen anything too crazy or any major red flags in a lot of those soil tests I'm getting through. Things like nitrogen, potassium tend to wash out of the soil with our winter rains, so that's normal. Those are usually low. Sometimes I see high phosphorus, So that's a great catch to let people know, like, hey, your phosphorus is at an excessive level. Consider that because it is less mobile in the soil. A lot of people are interested in their pH because we do tend to have naturally acidic soils here that may be a little less ideal for their veggies or their flowers. And so maybe their soil's more 5.4, 5.6, and they want it to be 6.5. High phosphorus is also something that I tend to see a lot. And, high phosphorus, and then, low boron and sometimes low copper. Those are the main micronutrients that I see low, but usually there's not any other issues. And when I think of it, currently on a program-wide level, I haven't seen, any red flags in specific areas. It seems like there's pretty common trends that I'm seeing in our soil reports that are expected with a soil report each year, so. I can talk a little bit more about the WSDA STAR program later, but essentially it is a free voluntary tool that is in development where farmers can get a 1 to 5 star rating on the soil health on their farm. They fill out an online survey. They answer questions about their practices in the last year, about their rotation, their tillage, their nutrients, their cover crops. And then it tracks each year what their score was, gives them a report on how to improve it, and it will also connect them with the conservation district. This is in the process of being rolled out. I've been helping with the development, but the vegetables and grazing lands is coming this fall. So we haven't been able to enroll a ton of producers yet because they have a very limited crop type on their current model. So yeah, I guess do we have any questions? I know I went a couple of minutes long, but
You did great.
You did great, yeah.
thank you.
Let's see, questions, comments?
I have a comment.
Yeah.
You may have already done this, but what you just did would be a great webinar.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, I think that would be awesome.
And just that level of detail would be really useful, I think.
Thank you. Yeah, I would be super open to that. I think that'd be great.
Yeah.
No, you did really well. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, great presentation. I think you covered pretty much everything. I can't, I don't have any questions.
That's awesome. Well, I'm happy to hear that.
Anything?
Just really quickly on the folks that are asking about the hay testing, they're talking about like testing their hay bales, like.
Yeah, like taking
nutrient
a
quantity.
core sample
Yeah,
that you can
okay.
like attach on a drill.
Yeah.
It's like a plastic thing. Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
What type of bale would you be using to test? Does it test round bales or square bales or, what the?
Yeah, I don't know if that takes a different tool or if it can just drill into, I'm guessing square bales. I don't know.
Probably just drill in regardless.
Yeah, I think you
of
just
what
drill,
you
I
do.
think you just drill on in and get a sample.
So I have a question. So when you fill out the form and send in your soil sample, it asks whether you want recommendations for organic or non-organic amendments. Do you have a sense of what the relative mix is of what people are asking for? And is it moving more in the direction of organic potentially?
Yeah, so the trend that I'm seeing is that most vegetable producers are getting organic recommendations, but as I would expect, most people that are testing for they want their recommendation in acres because they're doing hay or pasture. They are getting conventional recommendations, and maybe that is just because that's easier to apply conventional amendments at that level or more affordable. But I would say the majority of folks doing the vegetables are asking for organic, and it's much less common to get conventional for vegetables. And then flowers, 50-50 mix, and lawns is pretty much usually conventional.
Mhm.
So
Cool,
that would be
thank you.
the.
I was gonna ask maybe a follow-up to that, like just thinking about what those differences would be. Is it just cost or is it actually different types of amendments based on whether you're doing conventional or organic?
That would be if you are low in nitrogen, are you going to just so it's low regardless. So you can choose to get conventional, you can choose to get organic. And it seems like organic's usually more pricey.
It is.
So
definitely.
if you're applying to a garden, it would make sense, but it would be like super cost prohibitive to apply maybe to a field or
Right,
pasture. So Yeah, I think that's the main factor. And I think also people, if they're consuming what they're growing, they tend to go with organic options.
Well, I mean, yeah, economics are real, but I also, the difference, particularly since you brought up nitrogen, artificial nitrogens move through the soil much more quickly than organic nitrogen sources. So if we're interested in protecting watersheds, it seems to me we ought to be encouraging as much as possible, realizing there's an economic thing, encouraging the use of the organics because it's going to be more protective of the water, either their own wells or the more general water shed that they're in.
Yeah, that's an excellent point. And I've actually had some producers that asked for both sets of recommendations. So maybe they
So they
could
can compare costs.
compare costs.
Yeah,
And so or I've had folks that you know, asked for conventional, but then they follow up email, oh, can you actually give me the organic
Yeah.
as well? So I have seen some of that, and yeah, I'd be curious, you know, if what that cost would be and how that would work on the larger scale for folks doing like 50 acres.
Yeah.
So I'd be curious, but yeah, yeah.
And when in our outreach and, you know, efforts and workshops and things in our messaging, it's for that organic slow release fertilizers and pieces, but we keep that option in there for our gradient of what is accessible to the human at the time. So at least if someone's testing and willing to apply an appropriate amount of
Yeah.
fertilizer, that's better than
Right.
not testing because there's no option for conventional. So it's, but yes, in our outward messaging though, it is to advocate for what's the best sort of conservation
Yeah.
component. I think also there's been a little bit of concern, and I've heard this anecdotally, tell me if you've heard this too, Kenna, around sourcing for some organic amendments
Oh,
and
yes.
also scalability too of amendments in general across the board. Smaller farms are having a harder time getting access, or those mid-sized farms, to certain types of amendments that aren't bought in an industrial scale or a 5-pound bag, you know, so there's some availability pieces that we've been trying to combat for a while through grants where we can maybe facilitate a community project where there's some like aggregation and distribution of things like amendments or seed. We do that with seed a lot with other partners where we don't have it necessarily in our garage here at the district, but somebody else does, and we are just a conduit.
One last comment, then we're gonna have to move on. I'm really glad to see that you're looking at soil respiration and the Haney test and stuff like that. I mean, historically, all we've ever done is measure the chemistry of soil. And I think the emerging interesting field of soil science is the biology. So yes, let's do that. You didn't mention, because one of the things I've been looking at in that kind of testing is apparently the relative mix of fungi and bacteria is fairly important. And I don't know that either of those tests directly get to that, but there are companies out there that will give you those kind of numbers from a soil test.
Yeah.
And it might be worth looking at how that could work within our system too. But yes, please do the biology thing, and I think we should do a lot of education about that too, because that's the next frontier of soil health.
Awesome, yeah,
Yeah.
that's really exciting, and I'd love to have some producers send that in so I could see what the results look like, so
Sign
maybe
me up. I'm
you
there.
might be interested,
I'm
that'd be
there.
awesome
I've
if
been
you
waiting
wanted to
for
help
this.
pioneer it,
I've
so
been waiting
thank
for
you.
it.
All
Okay,
right.
thank you, Kenna, for being here.
Thank
So much.
you.
Appreciate it.
I'll stick around for a little bit.
All right, you're welcome to stay as long as you want. Okay, let's move on to the next item then, which is future meeting dates for us. So what?
There's two conversations to have here. One is, the board had decided to move our board meeting dates to Wednesday for a shorter term period of time. Through the end of August, and then move back to a Tuesday meeting, or discuss, do we want to move back to a Tuesday meeting date? Do we want to keep a Wednesday meeting date into the future? So that's the first decision to make. And depending on what that decision is too, we also like to look at the end of the year calendar right about now to see where board meetings fall in November and December. Usually they fall at Thanksgiving and Christmas, like the day before or the week of, and nobody's here, right? And so we typically move them up usually 2 weeks, and so respectively, and so that's another conversation for the board to set those too, so. First, would you like to keep Wednesday as your meeting date in perpetuity, or would you want to consider moving it back to Tuesday.
Well, I will say thank you to all of you for moving it to Wednesday, because it was really for me.
But we have parties in your place, so.
And I'm happy to, if we want to move back to Tuesdays, that's fine. Until next year, I'm gonna be in the same boat because Tuesdays and Thursdays will be our CSA days. So,
I'm okay with either day.
Doesn't matter to me either.
Yeah, maybe we should just keep it on Wednesday
Keep it
for
on Wednesday.
consistency.
okay, good.
It's easier.
All right, so that's been decided.
Great.
So then you want to look at some calendar dates, those fourth Wednesdays of November and December,
Yeah, so,
the day before Thanksgiving, it looks like.
right, the day before Thanksgiving and Christmas Eve, would naturally then be our
Everybody good with
meeting
meeting
date.
on those days?
No,
So typically our proposal again has been to move it at least a week prior. By then we have more information. An opportunity around the financial pieces. Any earlier than that, we really just don't have any data to
That-
prepare for you.
The 19th of November and the 17th of December.
Yeah.
that's
Does that work with folks?
Yeah, I'm fine with that.
that looks, okay,
That will help a lot with our budgeting process. Sometimes still, we don't have all of the financial data, to prepare the financial
Yeah.
report by then, and so you see them delayed a month at the end of the year, and December's is included with the year-end, financial report in January, but, yeah, 19th and 17th.
And neither of those conflict with WACD annual
No,
meeting.
they're after.
No,
They're
Well,
afterwards.
that's
Yeah.
the
The
first,
December
second,
one's after.
Yeah,
third.
yeah, okay.
December.
All right, sounds like we have a decision on that, then we'll move those up a week and we'll stick with Wednesdays.
11, 19, and 12, 17.
Yep.
Yes.
Okay, good. Next topic here, strategic planning. Sarah.
Yeah, so I sent you all a whole bunch of things yesterday to take a look at, and I don't anticipate that all of you have read every word, but maybe you have, maybe you've read through a lot of those pieces.
Yeah.
This dovetails with our long-term funding committee conversation that'll come next. We're at a point now where we've received our community feedback from the survey, got a little over 30 responses from that. It's not an overwhelming representation of our population, but that's fairly decent for an organization asking you questions about strategic planning priorities. So you received 2 documents on that. One, you received the raw data, so you can see comments verbatim as people have entered them into that. And you also received sort of a summary analysis of that data. And so I wanted to, and I can pull either of those up, but I wanted the board to have some time to sort of reflect and discuss any of those pieces around the community feedback that you received. And I'm going to capture, or we will capture some information, your thoughts around those pieces, and then we'll sort of talk about timeline and next steps for the rest of the planning process.
Okay. Folks get a chance to look at what she sent out.
yes,
I thought it looked really good. I had a question.
Yeah.
Are there questions we should have asked that we didn't ask that we'd like answers to? And I think you covered that as well. And I like the priorities. Okay, this is the top 3. We have 15 things. So we don't lose those other things that we're not going to be working on, like a parking lot type thing.
Yeah, and one of the things that I did too, just for my own interest, is sort of do some deeper analysis that I didn't put in the packet around bigger bucket priorities and themes, just to see what those, like looking for words and commonalities within those responses and trying to merge them in bigger buckets. And they are really interestingly representative of a lot of the conversations and discussions that we've been having at the board and staff level around strategic planning so far. And so I'm pulling these themes of synergy out all over the place. And so it's been really interesting and helpful to see that represented in so many spaces. And it feels really good that we're all in tune, right, to what's happening here in Thurston County. And so that I think is going to be really nice to inform some of the other pieces of our planning process.
Because of my background, I like to separate water quantity and water quality, but we don't need to do it to satisfy Doug.
Right, and we are pulling all of these themes and important concepts and then saying, is that a vision? Is that a value? Is that a priority? Is that a goal? And we're just not even worrying about trying to tell everybody what the difference between all of those are. We're just taking all of the information and then plugging them into the right place, and we'll spit it all out for you guys to see it.
Good job, I think.
Well, I mean, as you said, I saw a lot of overlap between what the community said and what we talked about around the
Yeah.
table 2 days ago.
Yep.
Yeah,
Yeah.
the one thing that surprised me a little bit about the community feedback that we've also talked about, but I don't think said it the same way, is the need for regional land use coordination. I mean, we've touched on that in a lot of ways, but to hear the public call that out deliberately, I thought that was great. And
Oh,
I thought
very
sort of
representative.
reinforces some of what we've talked about maybe moving in a little bit more assertive direction around some of those issues.
Yeah, that felt very in line with the conversations the board has been having.
Yeah.
I've not said this in public before, but I've often thought we should have a South Puget Sound Conservation District. It's watershed based rather than jurisdictional based. Good luck with that one.
A lot to unpack there.
Bioregional governance is the future, Doug. We will get there.
Not my lifetime.
Or mine, but it'll happen. It has to happen. Okay, so sounds like there's not a lot in terms of content. So what about process and next steps, timeline stuff?
Yeah, I also included at the end of
Yeah.
my report in there a revised and updated strategic planning timeline. Doug, you also just asked a question like, are we asking the community the right questions? You know, how do we feel about that? We have another opportunity as we approach Harvest Festival in and around that. We're planning to do another outreach campaign, but once we've formulated some more draft concepts here. So this was sort of the open-ended, tell us what your priorities are. Now we're gonna start churning all of this out in the planning process. That's the next step for us. We're gonna drill down at the staff level into a lot of the hows and connect those. We're gonna do actual drafting of words on computer screen documents to be able to share. And then we'll pull some of those, again, those big bucket concepts that come out of the plan, and we'll use that as the springboard for our next public survey option. It's gonna be similar in type. We'll be able to have it at the Harvest Festival on screens. We'll be able to have it via QR code. We'll be able to have it go out in all of our social media campaigns and our October newsletter. All of those pieces. It's gonna be a similar short few question, take a few minute survey. Here's the priorities that are emerging from the district. How do you feel about these? Is something missing? What's burning in here? What are the things, you know, those types of questions. And the board will be able to see drafts of that, those like conceptual priorities at the September board meeting to have conversation about, to say, yes, this is on the right track, or no, we feel like we need to add this. And that'll inform the survey that we send out to the community. So you'll see any last bits of wrap up response in October, and hopefully also a really polished draft of your plan that could be close to ready for adoption if the board chooses. And of course, we can adopt that later if we need more discussion. So that's sort of the wrap up of the timeline, is adopted by the November board meeting. Yeah. Any thoughts or questions?
Go ahead.
No, I
Oh,
think.
okay. So I had thought, when I was at the fair, it was really hard to engage people in questions. And I wonder, if we had a more interactive way of doing that at Harvest Festival. And the thing I'm thinking about is like the classic dot exercise. We have a flip chart, we have our 5 priorities, and they get 5 dots, and they can put them all 5 in one or something, but just a fun way, a quick way to people, for us to get a gauge of where people's energy are. Because we get a lot of people that come to the Harvest Festival, and that'd be really easy. It's not like filling out a questionnaire. You get to put a dot on a chart.
Yes, we did that exercise with marbles and vases at a Wildfire Ready Neighbors launch event in Yelm where we had, 100 or 2 people come
Mhm.
through there and they loved it
Yeah.
and everybody participated. It was super easy. And I think that's a great idea,
Something like
TJ,
that.
to
That
do
sounds
something
great.
simple and
But
interactive.
TJ, you didn't have the screen. You didn't have that, did you? When you were there, you didn't, they couldn't do it on the laptop.
No,
So I did when I was there and we had a lot of people use that.
well, you must have had a few, because we only had a total of 30
Right,
all
we
together.
had quite a few that
Yeah.
morning, yeah.
I mean, it strikes
So
me
anyway,
that
I'm just saying, it might have been the difference.
it could have been,
Cause they were
yeah.
able to walk up and.
but I bet if we have something simple like that at Harvest Festival, we'll
There'd be
have
more
more than
people,
30
yeah.
just right there on that spot.
Yeah.
And this sticker should be vegetables. Or
Right?
something like
Something
that.
fun. If we just,
Yeah.
I like the marble thing too, but you get the idea here.
And we can do yes and, right?
Yeah.
So we can have something that people, if they want to tell us more information.
Yeah.
Can do it virtually or they can do it with the
Yeah.
interactive exercise. I think that's a great
Okay.
idea.
Right, so we're generally okay with the remaining process and timeline here, where we're headed?
I do have one more question.
Yeah.
With regard to the input we got from partners,
Mhm.
was there anyone we wanted stuff from that we didn't get it from? I mean, we're gonna have some more opportunities, as you pointed out.
Yeah, I think we will want more feedback from partners in general on this. The survey is anonymous, right? You can select if you're a community partner. Most of the responses we got were from community members and not partners. I think that this next iteration of that information is something that they're going to be able to latch onto a little bit easier rather than the, hey, what's the need out there? But, oh, you're thinking about these priorities now. Don't forget this, or yes, please work with us on this.
Okay,
That makes sense. Thank you.
thank you.
Okay. That moves us to Long-Term Funding Committee. Can we get that document up on the screen
Yeah.
while I start to introduce this? So we met, what, a couple weeks ago now, David?
weeks, yeah.
David and I and Susan and Sarah, the committee. And we hadn't met since June, and that's because the staff had been doing a lot of work to take what we had talked about and turn it into something tangible. And that was the document that Sarah sent out in her report yesterday or the day before, whenever it was. I wanted to put this up on the screen today because we've gotten to the point now, we have kind of like 10 guiding, I think we're calling them guiding principles for how we're going to run finances in this organization going forward. I wanted to make sure that the board had a chance to look at those, ask any questions about those priorities, and see if you think those are the right priorities, if we're missing something, or need to make some adjustments. This will be the basis, whatever these guiding principles are, will be the basis of all of the fill in the blank stuff that comes next in terms of the staff work. And then as this relates to our strategic plan, I think the committee envisions that these guiding principles will be rolled into the strategic plan, and we will have a section in the strategic plan specifically about finances that will be this, or an amended version of this.
Okay.
David, did you want to add anything for that?
No, I think, I mean, that all kind of boils it down. It's just, this is our plan, and, right at this point, is there anything to add? Anything we've missed? Because we're trying to encompass everything in this, so.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, this is a distillation of a lot of conversations that we've had about thinking about funding into the future and taking a lot of the guiding principles, to be honest, that we have been using and putting them all in one place on paper that we can see and agree on. And then housing that within a document like our strategic plan that then we can share with partners and funders. It just increases the credibility and trust of the district. And I was trying to make my computer run faster. So I didn't hear if you mentioned this, TJ, but some of the tools and things like this data-driven decision-making and some of the widgets and things that we're working on to do our forecasting that we're trialing and we'll try for a while. We're building in Smartsheet, in dashboards, so that the board can have these easy ways to visualize at a high level indicators of success or concern or progress on things financially. understand where the combination of our grants are coming from. Is it state? Is it federal? What is the vulnerability and risk? You can see the
That would be nice.
funding we have secured, the funding we have applied for, but it's under contract, it's incoming to the district, so you can see a little bit of like, this funding's been awarded, but it's might be 18 months before we receive it, but you know that there's some funding certainty out there, reasonable degree, and then these are all of the funding sources we've applied for, so you can see that the amount of funding that we're trying to leverage coming into the district, so you can sort of see the trajectory. And then also fund graphs and models too for conversations around rates and charges and what happens to our financial strategy and our financial reality if that were to increase into the future.
Yeah, these tools that Susan has been developing and others are pretty cool, and they would really, like tonight we have this whole mess of contracts on our agenda for adoption, and they're great contracts, but I think I've always been like, how do they fit into the bigger picture? And I think these tools that Sarah's talking about will give us that information. So
We'll be able to see
Neat.
easily of all of the funding contracts we have, what are the big ones?
Yeah.
You know,
Okay.
what are the big ones and what priorities in our strategic plan are they funding? That's a little harder because things are so interdisciplinary, but you'll start to be able to make more sense of all of this because we have just such a high volume of grant contracts at any given point now that you can't know it without some sort of distilled visual.
I'm thinking, God, I wish WACD and NACD would do this.
Well,
maybe we'll share this and we will.
Well, I think we should.
Yeah. But in terms of these specific principles or guiding principles here, are we on the right track? Are we missing anything here? Any questions?
The integration's important. We've covered that. I think that's key. Thank you guys for working on this.
So you
Well,
will review
we
it.
really need to thank Susan and the finance team.
Oh, yeah.
And Sarah, because they've been cranking,
Mhm.
David and I have done the easy work.
Yeah,
They've cranked out putting this into a coherent framework and then building these tools where we can actually use it.
Yeah, we keep
It'd
getting
be
better
nice
and
to
better.
see it the way you've described it, so we can understand exactly where things are going. And I like, you did put reviewing it annually, which is great, even though it'd be 5 to 10 years, so.
Yeah, and I think we talked about just having that be part of our annual budget process as we go through the budget, just look at this stuff every year, make sure these still are the right ones and things haven't changed to where we need to change something about our principles.
Looks good.
Okay.
Yeah, I think it looks great. It feels really comprehensive, and even though these may be all things that we're already doing.
yeah.
There's a lot of value, I think, in actually having them written down for us and for partners and others that we work with. So it's great.
Yeah.
It's nice to pull them out of our brains and
Yeah.
see them on paper, which
Yeah.
is
We're not gonna be here forever, the people around the
Yeah.
table now.
Yeah, and I can see this being a very valuable tool when we go talk to commissioners about rates and charges or increases in rates and charges or anything else.
it's really exciting to see the dashboard that Susan's created.
Yeah,
It's
that's cool.
seeing the actual data in real time, right, and seeing how it, how we can be able to analyze that quick and easy, so.
and that's
Really
a
nice.
tool that we're gonna continue working on probably through the end of this year, but when it's at least in a good draft form with all of the back end multitude of spreadsheets populating accurate data. We'll introduce the board to that too and have Susan give an overview and a presentation of what's in there and how to use it, and then it'll live on your board portal dashboard that you can just click on it and open it and see this at any point. It'll be something we update periodically, so it won't be quite live, but there'll be some manual computation we have to do on the back end to make sure it's up to date, but it'll fall in line with our regular forecasting and like budget review and staffing review processes. So that's when we aggregate this data anyway to say what's the lay of the land, so then we'll just put it into this framework.
I saved my letter of recommendation for her as the employee of the year, so we can submit it again next year.
Yeah, and
Wise.
and I think at Wade next year, we should make a presentation on this whole process.
That would be really neat. I
think
agree.
I would encourage y'all to think about that and maybe, even include a board member in that presentation or something, but yeah.
It is a high priority of the Conservation Commission as well and Wade and others, to increase, the financial literacy in districts in general at the board level for the level that the board operates, but also at the fiscal staffing level within districts, because there's quite a big difference across the state in access to that type of expertise. And so there's already conversations in the works too about training and orientation and tools and that kind of stuff to share these types of things in a bigger way.
Okay, we're gonna move on then to item 6. We have the Southwest Area meeting coming up October 16th, I think. And so this is the point at which we can talk about whether we want to propose any resolutions. Have we seen any resolutions from any other district at this point?
I just got 2 in my inbox today and
Okay.
I've heard of a third. So far the resolutions that are out there are asking for March 17th to be Conservation District Day. We already have March as like our conservation month to help promote elections in conservation districts and other things. But districts were created or allowed to create in Washington on March 17th of 1939. And so recognizing that history and having a specific conservation district day that's recognized by the legislature to just continue to help promote and elevate conservation districts in Washington state and call attention to that is one. One of the other resolutions that is being discussed that I have not seen a draft of yet is WACD has an existing resolution on the books to support the State Conservation Commission's budget requests to the governor's office. And that was a good faith resolution of like we would have synergy to support that. What's come out in the last couple of years is that there's also been a disconnect between the budget priorities and the budget request dollar amounts that districts and thereby WACD are wanting to pursue politically within the legislature and the funding proposals that the State Conservation Commission is putting forward because of their pressures and partnerships with the Office of Financial Management and others in the agency realm. And so they put in requests sometimes for funding they believe that they're going to be able to reasonably get without getting cut, which tends to be a lot lower than the need that is out there in the community. And so there's a lot of philosophical conversations about what's the right approach. Do you request high and settle in the middle? Do you look for what you can get? Do you go big and bold and demonstrate the need and the value? And so there's a whole lot there to unpack. The resolution that is coming forward is to direct WACD to support the Conservation Commission or the Conservation District's budget request needs and not just sort of blindly across the board say, yes, we support the State Conservation Commission's budget if it's not meeting the needs or the desires of the districts themselves. So that really came into effect this last legislative session. When WACD has this existing resolution on the books, which is their guiding operating principle to say, yes, we support this, but also at the same time, there's this big need. And so this would separate that a little bit to give WACD the autonomy to say, actually, we want this much for districts. So the State Conservation Commission put in that's great. It's not enough and we want this.
Yeah.
Or their budget request because they need some internal agency pieces was funding for this item, but actually districts need this one. To give us a little bit more autonomy in that process when we have needs that are emergent but not the same. So that one is coming.
Side note on that, this WACD is a little bit nervous about departing from the commission, but I think Sarah's got it exactly right.
Yeah, and I think that will be a new mechanism in process and there will have to be a whole lot of communication and conversation between entities so that it doesn't become confusing
Yeah.
at the legislative level. The other one is really similar to that, but asking WACD to work with the commission, because that's all you can do. This is a WACD resolution, to work with the commission to officially adopt the commission's purpose to be supporting conservation districts. Another big one to unpack, Conservation Commission has historically been the funding arm, right, for districts throughout the state to pass those state dollars down to match with whatever other federal dollars or federal dollars through state, but to get money, right, to conservation districts to do things. And the commission has been a supporter in the background and a funnel and a conduit over the last decade or more. The Conservation Commission has also grown and morphed and taken on programs of its own. It's funneling other state priority programs. It's taking on projects and initiatives that the legislature finds important to them and to the state, and they designate the State Conservation Commission as the most appropriate state agency to house that program, and so they give that program to them to operate. And so they're being directed to do a lot of things that may or may not align with the interests of some, more, most, all, a few of the districts. And there is a sentiment that's shared amongst the state that to some degree that advocating and being a champion of conservation districts and locally led needs is being a little bit left behind for larger state agency priorities and the interests of the legislature, and so not necessarily as grassroots as it was historically. And there's of course reasons on both sides and merit on both sides and all of those pieces, but that's a resolution that's also coming forward.
So in terms of a process, these are ideas right now.
Yeah.
But for the September meeting, presumably we will have something firm before us that the board would need to look at to decide if this board was to endorse or not endorse these various other resolutions from other districts. That's half of it. The other half, is there any resolutions that we want to put forward from our board into this process?
Two comments. One is you can bring in late resolutions at the meeting.
Yeah.
So we may not see it. And I brought, second item, I brought up one about 2 or 3 months ago about how about we put the brakes on all these resolutions because we don't do anything with most of them.
Yeah, a resolution against resolutions.
Yeah, it'll go over big, I'm sure.
Are you gonna write that up, Doug? Whether it goes over or not, it might be worth having that conversation through the regional meeting. So, I mean, if you're willing to write up,
Yeah, I can do a
use
first
their
draft.
format and bring it forward for us to look at, for you to look at in September. I won't be here. Yes, that makes sense.
At one point, the WCD was also working on a resolution prioritization tool to help with workload management and help develop a process to sunset resolutions that were old or to bring them back to fact check again with districts, because we're also finding that they have resolutions on the books from 35 years ago.
No, they go away after 5 years.
Well, they're pulling some out of, this was the last resolution we had on this topic, and therefore that's why we took this position on this bill. Anyway, so
Well, yeah,
does that still resonate with the district community or not, is the question, or what's the nuance? And I think trying to apply that in this way sometimes is really hard and complex. So, but that pathway or that framework of trying to figure out how to prioritize and rank and assign resolution workload if you're getting a big volume, it was one of the things they said they were working on. So I don't know.
well, maybe we'll get an update on that then too.
Yeah,
Yeah,
we want to include
okay.
that.
But sounds like our next step is, well, this will be on the agenda. And I think it needs to be on the board meeting agenda so that if y'all want to take action, endorse or not endorse, you can do that in September.
And just to note, I will not get a holistic all of the resolutions that have been passed in all the areas, and some boards will have board meetings after we do, and
Yeah.
but we'll aggregate as many as we can and receive and just share those with you guys.
Okay. Item 7, CEC update. Anything to report on this front other than what you put in your ED report?
Yeah, I think that is the more exciting information is what I've included in my board report, is that we are making really good progress and getting that contract established. with employment security to sort of take this-
Enterprise services.
It said employment security in the report, and I thought,
Yeah.
that's
so
strange.
yeah,
Yes,
enterprise services.
ESD, yes,
Yeah,
thank
Yeah,
you.
anyway.
Different conversation on that side, thank you. Enterprise services, and sort of taking this process into our own hands. I think on, just what I can say in the work session, on the other front, I've been checking back in with the partners that we've been working with thus far on looking at specific parcels that we've been considering. It seems like there really is a big stall. There's not a lot of movement. There's maybe some developer interest that is percolating on that property space. There's not a lot of detail about it. Our partners in that project were meeting this evening or this afternoon, and I tried to get an update from them before the board meeting, but I haven't heard back yet. So I will send that out via email. They're pretty communicative, so I would anticipate by the end of the week, you'll get a little update on whether anything is progressing in that space, or any of the strategies we've discussed in past meetings are being deployed. It's been a little bit radio silence from them, and I think that's part of the game that a few of them are playing, so.
Question for you, Ben, if she sends that out by email, that's a public record, is it not?
We've done that, yes, but I think there's gonna be an exception, but I'd still prefer to have it handled in executive session.
Okay, so, or we could do it by one-on-one conversations, but we just can't create a written record. So that email shouldn't be sent, but if you feel like there's something that can't wait a month,
Yeah,
then individually try to connect with board members to give us an
In the
update.
meantime, I'll see if I find,
and I'll see the level of information that's shared to see if that is something that should be protected by executive session, or if it's more of a generalized update to you,
Yeah.
because I'm not necessarily anticipating details that are.
But even if we're putting in names of partners, that might not be something that we wanna put in a public record at this point.
if there's any overlay of legal issue,
Yeah,
it can be sent to
Oh,
me
definitely.
to form a legal opinion.
Okay,
And then communicate as a privileged legal opinion. I know that is
Yeah.
possible, but it needs to have a legal issue that colors it, and there
Okay.
should be.
well, that will, yeah,
okay.
I think that will be possible.
So you and Ben will figure that
We'll-
piece out, and one way or the other, either in person, by email, or at next month's meeting in executive session, we'll get an update on this. Okay,
That's great.
all right. Let's then move to the item you added, Marianne, new item, data security.
Yeah, so I don't know if you guys have been aware that it's been in the news a lot about the use of AI in governance. So it's being used by public servants in a widespread manner, and they don't have guardrails in place to really for protections. And so at this time, they're seeing it being used, it was caught especially in Bellingham and Everett. They're using it for replying to emails, they're using it writing grant applications, there's no transparency that they're even using it. City officials were emailing things, anyway, records show that it's really being used widespread, and the problem with it is that it's outpacing any kind of, like I said, guardrails that are in place. And the rules are like still being written around AI, and so it's a concern for me, the Chat GPT, and that what we're doing here, staff, et cetera, and because it's not secure. And they're paying attention to what we're asking it. So that's the one thing I wanted to bring up, and so we're aware of it.
And AI written communication also might not follow the policy goals of the organization in a way that a human written one would be aware of those. Yeah. It's the other possibility there's policy hijack.
So you need to have a policy, don't you, in place for your staff, don't you?
Well, right, but I mean, if you rely on AI to write responses to
Right.
the public, those responses might reflect the policies of the AI organization.
Right.
not the
Right.
policies.
Yeah.
Right,
So we don't use any digital like AI assistants, right? Because those are usually paid services, right, to do that. I think we,
no, no,
You're not in-
some of them, the auto response ones are. But you can plug it in there manually, right?
yeah,
and have
and that's
something
what
that's
they
written.
showed, that
Yeah.
they just plugged questions in manually.
There are businesses now that are plugging in auto response software that you have to pay for, and they're calling them AI assistants. That automatically, as you receive emails in your inbox, writes the response for you, so
Yeah.
you can
Mhm.
take a look at and push send, and you don't have to do anything, or you can put it on auto send, right? So like, that's what I thought you were talking
I
about, but
understand, but I think that this was really mostly just about, yeah.
So you were calling this to our attention. Do you have any suggestions about anything that we ought to be doing at
Well, I
this point?
think there should just be a policy in place, that, you know, staff should not use it for grant writing, emails, you know, I'm not, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay,
So,
Work with me
yeah.
on that.
Yeah, I was just gonna throw in, that also raises like worries, because if people are using that for replying to emails, like you
Yeah.
could definitely be like putting people's personal information that they didn't give you
Absolutely.
permission for.
Yes, yes.
So that's the,
Yeah.
that's
That's
the
the
worrisome.
scary
so it sounds like Ben, you and Sarah need to talk
Let's
about
connect.
this and figure out how we proceed to put some policy guardrails.
Yes, we
on
need
this.
some guardrails.
Because the liability dangers of taking a human
Yeah,
being out of communication
It's huge,
is huge.
it's huge, yeah.
And that's definitely not something that's occurring,
Right.
right, at TCD, and I think we can
I'm
definitely work on a
probably
policy to
not.
put those
Yeah.
guidelines in place, yeah.
yeah.
The other thing is, I don't know if you realize, but you know, are they all signers for the bank? Are they all, okay,
Yeah.
so that came in, that we are gonna sign that document to be, what's the name of that bank, Beneficial Bank?
Beneficial state,
So all of our information is on there, just so
Yeah.
you know,
yeah.
all of it. Our social,
Yes.
our driver's license, everything, and I trust everybody here. But if you have another board, I mean, that's a lot of information, and you don't know who else is gonna see that information. It was a little concerning for me.
Yeah.
So there's that.
Two policies there, let's write it down, we have an AI policy and a personally protected information policy.
But that came from the bank.
And let's review the existing policy on that second one, Ben, to see if that needs an update. This is common whenever we have multiple signatories that we're adding or removing from banks. The difference in this process is that in the past, it's been a local bank, we have a piece of paper,
Yeah,
we have you sign it, we take it, we hand deliver it to the
Mhm.
bank. Because we're banking at a not local bank, right, that we made a very careful selection about based on their, you know, beliefs and their values. It is an electronic process, and so you're seeing them pop up in your inbox electronically that do have all the
Yeah,
information.
yeah.
And the vehicle that's sending them has things like an opportunity for you guys to download those documents.
You can
So-
download it. you
So
can
that's where
download all
this is a
the
new
information.
concern, it's the same process,
Yes,
a new
I
concern.
downloaded it to see if I could download it and see it all. Now, I deleted it, but what I'm saying
Yeah.
is, you don't know what other board members, I mean, if you had those board members years ago, you know,
Yeah.
you just, I'm surprised they didn't send it out individually.
Yeah.
But,
And that's something that we can address with
Yeah,
them, just.
so
one-
you didn't see everybody
Yeah.
else's info.
Yeah.
Anyway, that's it.
Okay, well, thank you for bringing it up. Sounds like that's something that needs to be addressed.
Okay,
So thank you.
yep, you're welcome.
Okay. We're just a couple minutes past 6, but let's plow through and do these updates real quick. We'll just do board updates. Do you have anything, Doug?
When are you gonna get a sign out on the road?
Almost drove by the
I'm
place.
done.
I think that's that comment times 5. Okay, next.
Okay, I'm going next. Okay, I'm
That's fair,
on,
yeah.
the People's Climate Action Committee. It's, so there's 4 of us. There's 2 from TCAT, Tom Crawford and Paris McCloskey, and then Lynn and me. And what we are doing is we're formed from the local good governance to make sure that the climate language is in the comprehensive plan. So I just wanna let you guys know that. Last time TJ asked me about the UGA swap and I was not prepared. So I printed out some material. I'll hand it all out to you and you can read it at your leisure.
Great.
That's it.
Thank you. Thank
My
you.
announcement.
All right.
Nothing from me today.
Nothing for me?
I've said it several times, but I'll say it again. I won't be here in September.
Are you
so
sure?
I'm 100% sure. You will be, you will be
Fun.
chairing your first meeting.
Yeah, you think it's gonna be like this and.
No, you're gonna have a good time. Might go a little longer though. The other thing, just sort of board related, but Adam Peterson, who many of us know and really like, is working to become a certified crop advisor, and he needed to have a recommendation from a producer. So over the weekend, I wrote Adam a recommendation, and I talked about the help that he's provided to me as a farmer, but also, you know, as a board member, the help he's provided to the larger community. So fingers crossed, Adam will become a certified crop advisor here very shortly, which is kind of a cool deal for him. That's all for me.
Yay.
Sarah?
You'll be able to see Adam at the Harvest Festival too, so, you're planning on coming to the Harvest Festival, so is Adam. You'll get an email this week too with, updates and reminders about our board and staff summer picnic, which is next Wednesday already, which is super exciting, including the potluck sign up, information about how to access TJ's space and where to go if you haven't been there before. We also have a group of folks here at the district, Kenna is one of them, creating some really fun activity.
Oh,
I
boy.
don't wanna miss out.
You don't want to miss out.
Right.
And it is sort of a participate at your own interest, choose your own adventure, opportunity. I'm really excited. I think this might become a tradition that it's gonna be really fun for us to do, and we're gonna make some great memories. So how was that for foreshadowing, but not giving you the whole thing?
Before you move on from that topic, we had talked about inviting Betsy
Yes.
to that event. I don't know if anybody's reached out to her or not, but let's make sure we do that.
Yes, we've conversationally, and when she gets this reminder, we'll
Okay.
see where
Good.
she lands on that piece. I know that she was tentatively interested in maybe using that space to come and sort of wrap up things.
Yeah. Okay.
Here,
Okay.
TCD. And we may also see her at the Harvest Festival. So there's that too.
Cool.
That's all I have.
Okay, with that, it is 6:06 and we're ending the work session. We will come back in 24 minutes for a board meeting.
Good timing, good timing. Thank you.
Are we now recording? Okay, we're recording, we're on. Welcome back. It's August 27th and we are the Thurston Conservation District Board of Supervisors and we're about to begin our board meeting here. Welcome, everyone. We have a full contingent of board members. We have our legal counsel, Mr. Cushman. We have several staff members here. So welcome. We need to take a look at our agenda first up here. Are there any changes to what's written before us? I note that we did drop the executive session that had been scheduled on the first draft of the agenda because we don't need one tonight. But is there anything else here we need to change? If not, we'll need a motion on the agenda. So moved by Doug. Is there a second? Seconded by David. All those in favor of this agenda, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Agenda is approved. That moves us to consent agenda. We've got a lot on consent tonight. But I'm not gonna go through it all. Just suffice to say, there's a whole lot of agreements here that are gonna result in funding for this organization and work for our staff and conservation benefits for the community. So it's very exciting. And with that, we need a motion on the consent agenda.
Motion to approve.
I'll second. Moved by David, seconded by Doug. All of those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Consent agenda is approved.
Thank you, staff, for putting that together so clearly. It's good stuff.
Yeah. Okay, item 4, public comment. This is the point at which any member of the public can speak with us for up to 3 minutes on a topic that's on their mind that might also be of relative interest to us. I do not see anyone in the room or online that wants to make public comment, but if I'm missing something, I'll stop here and say, is there any public comment? Hearing none and seeing none, public comment is closed. Takes us to partner reports. NRCS, Deshelle is not here this evening. I don't think we got anything writing from her. I will just note NRCS is a part of USDA, and I read today that in the last 8 months, USDA has lost 24,000 employees nationwide, the largest hit of any single agency other than the Department of Defense. So I imagine that means we won't see a lot of Deshelle or other NRCS people because they're probably doing a lot of work to cover for people that aren't there anymore.
The last WACD meeting, Roy Lean, who's the state conservationist, said they were down to 120 from 180.
In the state?
Yeah,
Yeah.
but that was a month ago.
Yeah,
So
that's
it's maybe even
30%
worse.
loss. Yeah.
And that's down even from where they were up over 205.
Yeah.
Even the year before that.
Yeah.
To start to meet capacity needs.
Yeah. So there's a lot of stuff that's not going to get done or going to get delayed. Okay, with that, we do have Josh with us, however. Hi, Josh. Welcome. You're going to give us an update on the commission?
Yeah, I got a couple things. Should be pretty brief. So, boy, you know what? We just got through elections and we're already gearing up for the next round. So, just a heads up for y'all, we'll be doing our elections training on September 25th at 9:30. This is just for those that don't know. We made a change to our rule a few years ago to basically the election supervisor, and you know, if there's a backup person, have to do a training on elections once a year, and that's part of the elections reporting. And so we'll have that, and if staff are not able to attend, that will be recorded, and watching that is sufficient. That gets reported, I think, on one of the first form that gets submitted after resolutions are adopted, et cetera. So just a heads up there. And you won't have an appointment this year. You just will have David's up for election this year. So you'll just have to do an election and no appointment. So maybe that will make it a little more. You're the only one in all the districts I work with that don't have an appointment this year. So congratulations. I'm sure Doug will mention it, but the WACD area meetings, or Southwest area meeting, is happening on October 16th. I think there might have been a typo in there about what day that was, but it is October 16th, and best I can tell, that's a Thursday. And a previous board meeting I was at today, it may be something that went out that it was like a Wednesday. So, but it is October 16th. And that Wahkiakum CD is hosting that, and that's going to be down at Rossburg, which is west of Skamakawa, if folks are familiar with that end of the bottom of the state. So it's over along the Grays River. It's a really pretty part of the state if you've never been. Beautiful drive. Just in case, they are doing another round of VSP. So round 2 applications need to be in CPDS by September 1st. Also mentioned, just kind of on behalf of our communication staff, that and I don't do Facebook, so I don't know if Thurston has taken advantage of this opportunity, but every Sunday we do a Sunday spotlight. So even if you've done it in the past, just a reminder, if you want to get some cool project out, we're happy to help promote that. Other than that, that's all I got, TJ. Happy to answer any questions. And I just a huge shout out to Sarah. I appreciate everything she does. I appreciate her thoughts, her strategic thinking. She's a good one. I know I've said that before, but I'll say it again.
Thank you, Josh.
Any questions for Josh?
No questions.
Just one thing, Josh.
Yeah.
Have y'all started working on legislative stuff, or have you gotten any direction from OFM yet about what you should be thinking about or preparing for as we move into that process?
Yeah, yep. Great question, TJ. And I just found I had printed it off. They, I think it must have been in maybe in June or July, the guidance from OFM came out, and I can share this after this meeting, but I think I just kind of hit the highlights. It's yeah, it was released in June 4th. There was a revenue forecast towards the end of June talking about a $720 million shortfall over the next 4 years. In mid-July, our agency folks met with the governor's office and OFM, and then decision packages are due mid-September, so in September 15th. You know, I just kind of printed out some of the highlights, but there was, I think it was like 2 or 3 pages of instructions to CD or to agencies. And yeah, you're really gonna have to justify this go around. Anything that, you know, wasn't funded. So it's gonna be a challenge, but I believe, you know, we're only putting 3 packages forward. One of them is for forest health, one of them is for conservation technical assistance, and then there's a data modernization need, which if you saw the Seattle Times today, they had a big kind of cover story on the boondoggle with labor and industries, where they were tens of millions of dollars. I mean, it was a lot of money that, you know, they basically just had to like pause it and walk away, and they're like 10 years in. So hopefully we don't get caught in any of that turmoil. We feel like we have a pretty straightforward data modernization need. We're not, you know, one of the big agencies. We're not trying to run, you know, unemployment benefits or workman's comp or any of that stuff. We're just trying to be able to better tell our story and be more efficient with the CDs and partners that we work with. And so, yeah, it's the direction. You know, it could scare you off, but as I think I heard James say one time, it's like if you don't try, you're not gonna ask or get anything. We're not coming in with massive over the top requests, but we are gonna be present in that request space. So
Thanks, Josh.
Yeah, Josh, this is Doug. Can you give us a little bit of a background on the new colleague you have in the Southeast region?
Oh yeah, thank you. I was going to mention that, and we have another new hire. Yeah, Tammy Stubbs is our new Southeast Regional Manager. She is coming to us from I think the Pea and Lentil. She was like their strategic planner or something like that. She just started last week, so I'm still getting to know her. She's very familiar with CD. She's very familiar with USDA process. She worked at Palouse Conservation District for a number of years. She's comes from a farm family, is a farmer herself, her and her husband. I believe they're located out of Dusty, Washington. And so she's going to be a perfect fit for that neck of the woods. You know, talking to all the growers, and because there's just a lot of big wheat guys and, you know, et cetera, like you might expect down in that neck of the woods. And so she's going to be a perfect fit. And then yeah, go ahead.
I think you were going to where I was going. The new person that James announced this morning, or maybe yesterday.
Yeah. Yeah, I got that message. Yeah, so trying to remember the title. Director of
Chief Engagement Officer.
Chief Engagement Officer. Doug, I wish I knew more about that. I've been in the office once and got to meet her, and I was like, gosh, she looks familiar. And she had facilitated a couple meetings under contract with the commission last year. One of them was VSP, another one was our grants and procedure contract manual ombuds group. She's worked with state agencies for a lot of her career. Sounds like she had some time at the Port Association. So I'm not, I don't know exactly what the position is, but we'll definitely be learning more, and I can share more. So.
Yeah, I'm particularly interested. It said in her little bio that James said that she worked for Tacoma Public Utilities, and I used to be the liaison from ecology with those guys, so.
It sounds like a lot of her responsibilities coming on are going to be continuing to engage in conversations with districts as we are all evolving in these different ways and continue to try and find synergies between all of us and move that forward and help inform the commission in that. And then also looking at higher level strategic communications initiatives on behalf of the commission were two of the pieces that I've just heard James mention as we've kind of checked in on all things commission.
All right, well, thank you, Josh. You're welcome to
Yep.
take off or hang out, whatever suits your fancy.
All right, I'll stick around.
All right, that moves us to you, Doug. Let's do WACD and then NACD.
I don't have anything to add to what I submitted.
Okay, we got the written stuff, and that's all there is.
We're trying for a new personal best. It's only quarter till.
Okay, all right, let's see if we can do it. That takes us to item 6, which is take a look at next month.
Looks good.
Ready to make a motion there? Okay, there we go. All right, work session. We got Sam coming in to talk about Green Congress. Maybe a community partner presentation.
Yeah, that probably will be Erica Gutman. She was slated for this month.
Native
but
plants.
couldn't, yeah.
Okay,
Native plant.
all right, and then it's time to start talking about legislative tours and Harvest Fest, and then a couple standing items there: strategic planning and long-term funding. Should we have a CEC update here, or is that going to be potentially something for executive session next month?
Let's put a placeholder on both and then we'll pick the most appropriate
Okay.
one.
Let's do that. Okay.
And just to note, the topic, the work session topic list item of fall legislative tours is going to be a recap of the legislative tour.
Oh, right, because they're already
They're going to
scheduled.
be in September this
Yep.
year to help increase turnout
Yep.
of those. So you should have all received calendar invites for those if you'd like to participate in them.
Yep.
I don't think we did.
I don't think I did.
I think we did. I did.
We will just make sure
Okay.
to send them again.
Okay. All right. So that's that. Let's scroll down to the board meeting. Looks like a very standard agenda next month. Yeah,
We were gonna talk about resolution.
resolutions. Yes. Thank you, Doug. Let's put that as item 6A and move the current 6A to 6B.
Just resolutions.
WACD resolutions. All right. Okay, that gives us a working document to look towards. I'm guessing there'll be some contracts that get thrown in there potentially. There always are.
There'll be another good chunk, I think, of
Yep.
contracts.
Okay. All right, we'll work with that for now. That then takes us to a motion to adjourn.
Oh, I moved to adjourn.
Moved by Mary Ann,
Second.
seconded by David. All those in favor?
Yeah.
Aye, opposed. We are adjourned 6:46.
Wow.
Holy cow.
We beat ourselves by 2 minutes.
We
Didn't
did, I think
18
so.
last one?
There's your challenge for next month. You gotta get 15 minutes or better.
You'll leave and then you can